Another exciting feature of web components is the ability to define entirely new HTML tags. By defining new tags that have associated functionality, you can dramatically reduce the amount of code you have to write when building your websites and web apps. Life is a lot easier when you can simply use custom tags to build your applications. Now you might be thinking that browsers already do this. You can put a custom tag into your markup. The browsers seem to parse it just fine. And yeah, they kind of do. But when the browser encounters a tag it doesn't know about, it parses the tag as an unknown element type. Now, it will work, but you don't get all the benefits of having a real tag. You can't attach JavaScript APIs to that tag, and you don't have much control over how it gets styled or how child content gets placed within it. With custom elements, you don't have these problems. You can define all of the attributes, how they get styled, what the API looks like, what properties they expose. You can even extend the existing tags in the browser and control how the child content inside the tag gets rendered in the browser. We'll look at some custom element functionality so that you can start to become familiar with this part of the specification. Now, there are a few rules that you need to follow when you're defining custom elements. First, custom element names need to contain hyphens. This lets the browser know that the element is a custom element. Second, we need to define a JavaScript class that will control the element's behavior. To actually define the element in the browser, we need to call the custom_element.define function. Let's look at a file so we can see how this works. The web page that I'm starting with is pretty simple. I have a main tag within the body, I have a head, and I have an article tag. In the article tag, we have some paragraph content. Then I have a div with an ID of custom element. This div contains my new custom element tag. I've called it MSG-banner. I've given it an ID of banner, and I've assigned the Boolean value of visible. Within this banner, I simply have a div with a class of message. And then I have some buttons that we'll be using a little bit later on in this lesson. Up in the head section, I have a link to my style sheet file, and I have a link to the Web Components Lite script file. Then I have an embedded script tag, and this embedded script tag already contains a little bit of JavaScript that I've created. Here I've defined an ECMAScript 6 class named message_banner, and that's going to extend the HTML element class that's built into the browser, and that's because I want my message banner to inherit the behavior that comes from the base HTML objects. I also have some custom component reactions here. So in addition to the constructor, which is located here at line 15, there's also some callback functions that I've included in the class that correspond to the custom element lifecycle. The connected callback function is called when the custom element is connected to the page. The disconnected callback function is invoked when the element is removed from the page. Usually this happens via a DOM function. The adopted callback function is called when the custom element is imported from another document. And the attribute change callback is called when the attribute on the element changes from one value to another. Now, we're not going to use these functions very much in this example, but they can be useful in custom element development, which is why I've included them here. What we need to do next is we need to define the element in the browser. To do that, we're going to use the call of custom_elements.define, and I'm going to pass on two things to it. First, we're going to pass on the name of our tag. Next, we're going to give it the name of the class which represents this behavior, and you can see that I've called that message banner up here. This function is going to tell the browser that we're creating a new element named message banner, and that its behavior is controlled by the message banner class. So when the page is going to load, you're going to see that the content in our message banner is going to be displayed. Let's save the page and look at it in the browser. So the content is being displayed in our example div. Now, we haven't defined any behavior in our JavaScript class, so doing things like clicking on the message banner isn't going to do anything, or clicking our buttons, that's not going to do anything. We'll add that functionality in a little while. We're also going to add some CSS soon so that we can alter the appearance of this new tag. This hopefully gives you a quick overview of how you can define a new custom element.